Welcome to the Music for Transformation interview series, where I get to interview amazing people who use music to enhance their own lives and that of other people as well. So first of all, just hit that subscribe button now and enjoy the interview. So today I'm joined by the amazing Hal Eisenberg, who I would call a friend. And in actual fact, we've never actually met in person because we live many miles away from each other, as you'll probably tell from the accents. But someone who we've been on Zoom calls for a couple of years now. We connected a couple of years ago, and he truly is an amazing person, and someone that's so sincere and honest, and just truly wonderful. And I'm sure that will come across in this interview. So let's give a little bit of an idea of what he's about. So he's the founder and CEO of Windows of Opportunity, which is the Eisenberg Learning and Leadership Academy, a non-profit agency that is essentially a series of community outreach initiatives built for youth by youth, which is absolutely great, and very much in alignment with the empowerment sort of theme of the albums. So Windows of Opportunity's goal is to assist and empower the at-risk youth in designing, executing and participating in positive leadership roles through social emotional learning initiatives, innovative programs, workshops and curriculums that address all the compartments of their life while building their self-esteem. So it's kind of like you take the school system, you improve it 100-fold, and that's probably getting near to what Hal actually does at Windows of Opportunity. And just to add something else as well, in 2018, he was awarded the NYCDOE School Social Worker of the Year award for his tireless efforts in one of the largest school districts in the world. So it is my absolute pleasure and honor to have you joining me here today, Hal.
Thank you, James. Wow, big introduction.
There we go.
It's an honor to be here. I'm so excited for you and the album and everything. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we will get onto the music. So obviously the idea behind this interview is primarily to talk about the music and how you became involved in the album. But you have a background, don't you? You have a story, and I know music plays a big part in that as well. So where should we start, Hal? Would you like to sort of start from the beginning chronologically, or would you like to start with what you do now? What's best for you?
Once upon a time, my parents we could start wherever you want. We could definitely start with the music. I mean, I think that's probably why a lot of people are tuning into your broadcast. So let's start there, I guess.
Let's start with that. So tell me about your background in music then. So let's start there.
I had a lot of challenges in childhood, not very different than a lot of people, my age growing up in that generation. And I was a quiet kid, and I didn't know like which way to turn. And I was kind of like observing everybody. And my uncle, who lived in the Bronx, if you can't tell from my accent, I'm, New Yorker through and through. And he bought me an album. I'm going to end up dating myself, right? So he bought me a Stevie Wonder album called Hotter Than July. And there was a song on it called Happy Birthday. And I listened to the lyrics, and it was all about Dr. Martin Luther King and how we should be celebrating and how he gave his life, for civil rights and making a difference in the world. And I was young. I was very young, but I had this epiphany where like I felt this energy from the song, and it had purpose, it had a message, and I was sold from there. I wanted to learn more about music. I wanted to discover. I became a big fan of so many artists. And then, of course, 7th grade came along, and I signed up for a music class, and I ran into the music room, and I wanted to play saxophone. I was in love with the saxophone. I was so excited. All the saxophones were taken because I got lost in the school building that day. And the only thing left was a snare drum. So I got stuck playing drums, and fast forward 20, 30 years now, I'm playing drums now. So that's a small part of my music story. It gets a little deeper, but we'll talk about that as we delve into the other topics.
Brilliant. And that's, that's often the way that things happen, isn't it? You'll hear a lot of the big artists out there would just bought a guitar or bought a drum set. And of course, the people that don't get on with it and don't enjoy it are the people we don't hear about. But the people that carry on and really pursue it are obviously the ones that we hear about, and we end up loving their music. And obviously that's what you did to a certain level. You pursued it, you pursued the music. So tell me, because you've obviously been in a band and you've got this history of music. How has being involved in music helped you in your life?
Oh, James, there's no doubt that I wouldn't be who I am or where I am, or probably even alive today, without music. And that's honestly the truth. I know we're going to talk about my book that just came out. There's a story in my book. When I was 16 years old, I was homeless. And again, this is going to date me. But while I was like in an alleyway trying to figure out my life, and I was sick and I was hungry, I heard a Bon Jovi song, and it was called "Living on a Prayer," which we know is this, global anthem. And at the time, the album was out. I was homeless. I think the album came out like 2 weeks before, and I latched on to those lyrics, and it totally like picked me up and gave me hope, and it gave me faith. And I was like, I can do anything, right? Like I there's a connection here. There's an energy here. I've got to figure it out. I was a long way from figuring it out, but music was always the thing that I would hold on to. My darkest times, my biggest struggles, and my biggest successes. There's like a soundtrack to my life, and it's all wrapped around music. And I was blessed to play with a band. I'm still with them. Very unheard of, but I'm in a cover band that is together now 21 years. Very few cover bands last, that long. So, and they're still going, which is amazing.
And many few bands, full stop, let alone cover bands. But that's it. Very few bands, full stop. So what an amazing story. So it really was that song really sort of changed the direction of your life. I'm quite intrigued because, I love Bon Jovi. I love Living on a Prayer. I know what an anthem it is. Was it really the combination of both the melody and the lyrics that really was a standout thing for you and changed the direction of your life? Or was it something different? What was it about that song?
It was definitely a combination. When Slippery When Wet came out, which was their third album, and we could probably do a whole show on just talking Bon Jovi, right? Because I've studied them in every single album. Honestly, I think the guy's stalking me sometimes because I'm like, every song is like where I am in my life, The guy's got a talent for really writing creative riffs, and that the bass line in that song, just you feel it in your soul, and it moves you. And I know this as music, like you get that catchy hook, it's going to stay in your head. Bon Jovi has the talent of writing those magical hooks, and it just stays with you like forever. But it was the lyrics. It was, the idea of Tommy and Gina, and Tommy and Gina were all of us, and it was this idea of, you're heading in one direction, you think you're going to have a successful life, and then boom, life happens, and now you're faced with challenges. And those challenges become blessings. So if you're living on a prayer, that prayer will take you through those challenges. And I got that that's what John was saying, I got that was the message. And it moved so many people. I've seen Bon Jovi, I think 64 times in concert now. And I actually almost came to the UK to see him the last time he was there. But, I've seen him 65, 70, 80,000 people. And when they all sing Living on a Prayer together and he just stops, there's almost nothing greater on the planet when you feel the energy of 80,000 people having hope and faith, and they're all singing it because each one of them has had a challenge and a story, and that song has carried them through it. So yeah, for me, it was definitely a little bit of both, the lyrics and that hook.
It's so true. It's so true, isn't it? You know, there's so many directions we can take this, because you're absolutely right. That real live experience, you got the, just connection with people, connection with the band, audience and band, connection with other audience members, and you're just totally present, absorbed in that in that moment, and that's the power of music. And yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, those lyrics of "Living on a Prayer" have probably spoken to so many people over the years, and then of course, around when was Crush, and they sort of did it again with "It's My Life," didn't they, making reference? It was around 2000, wasn't it?
2001. You're right.
2001. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was Rich. Well, I think I've seen a couple of interviews. I think it was Richie Sambora's idea to bring Tommy and Gina back, right? This one's for Tommy and Gina, who never backed down. Like, it's like unbelievable, right? Like they became these characters, and I'm sure they're probably somewhere in John's life, maybe based on a true story. Only John knows that, right? But these characters came back, and "It's My Life" was another anthem, and the guy knows how to write anthems, like just over and over and over again. "Keep the Faith." When that song came out, I was in another challenge in my life. I was living in Texas and totally in the middle of nowhere. And I actually ran into his aunt, believe it or not, when that song came out, and I had a whole conversation with her about John. But that song helped me during that time, get through my challenges. So the guy's unbelievable. I wish I had his songwriting talent for sure.
Yeah, it is amazing. That's right. And obviously you might be watching this or listening to this and think, well, I'm not so much into Bon Jovi, but there's loads of music out there where the lyrics will really speak to you. And, if you've ever been inspired by something like a motivational quote, well, music is that, but magnified, because not only have you got the actual words and the lyrics, but you've got the actual melody, the rhythm, all of those things which really create a whole brain response, and it's just incredible. Music is one of those things that can really instantly change your state and can help you both in the short term and the long term. And that was obviously the idea behind my album. I got this idea. I wanted to write music that meant something to me, and I'd got myself into personal development. I'd really enhanced my mindset and felt better and felt much more positive. So it was easy for me to write lyrics where I'm just sort of writing about my experiences. And I thought, well, this can really help other people. And I know you obviously, one of the people I contacted to become part of this, and you, of course, jumped at it because you love the music, and also you love the idea behind the album, because personal development has certainly been there for you as well, hasn't it, Hal?
100%. And I would love to make two comments, to what you just said. And the second comment will be about your album. I'm so glad that you mentioned the Bon Jovi thing, because a lot of people look at me and they see the hair and they're like, oh God, this guy's just a rocker. I love all styles of music. I'm super into, I don't know if you have this in the UK now, but I'm super into Kygo.
Sure.
Kygo is, I don't know where he's from, somewhere in Europe. I hope I didn't mess that up. He's like a DJ, and he redesigns and reshapes songs and older songs, and he puts it into this new rhythm and these new beats, and totally uplifting music. And I love so many different styles. So I'm all for that. I'm all for lyrics. I'm all for learning about new music. There's a lot of new great artists out there. And when you came to me with this idea, I was like, yes, 100%. Like, what you were creating was totally in alignment to everything like I stood for, musically, professionally, personally. And I was like, I want to be a part of this. And, congratulations, because I remember, not to blow up your spot, but I remember when this was just like a little seed, right? And now you have 3 albums, and every single song is powerful and amazing and has something to say. So, like, kudos to you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And in an interesting way, you have used music in your life, and now you are actually helping other people use music as well, aren't you? Because you have music. I mean, the arts are a big factor of your programs at Windows of Opportunity, aren't you? And what are some of the benefits of that? So when these students use music and express themselves in the arts, what are some of the benefits?
Yeah, great question. Great question, James. There's a tremendous amount of benefits, and we could turn this into like real hard data, right? So it's actually shown that students who take part in the programs in the arts are actually 5 times greater to graduate and have higher averages and better futures. Yet here in the States, they're cutting programs in the arts. I have ran so many programs. I did a big music program for 8 years at a local high school in Queens. We had a student who was killed in a boating accident, horrible accident. And he was like your average student, like 70, 75 average. And he was just kind of getting his life together, and he had a ton of friends, and they were all in bands, and they were like, we want to do something like in memory of him. So we created this music festival that became a scholarship program, and it became like this safe haven of kids being able to work through their issues, being able to find themselves, being able to learn how to put on a show, learn how to market a show, be on stage. So they're getting like life skills of how to run events, how to express themselves. It shifted their entire life. The arts and being able to give them that space shifted their entire life. When I left that school, I became associated with a local community church, and we brought the program to the basement of the church, and the church became the Church of Rock and Roll. Not to offend any, religious, people out there, but the kids were calling it the Church of Rock and Roll, and now they were finding spirituality while they were expressing music. So I'm a big, proponent for the arts. I think arts should not be cut. I think it makes a difference. It can make a difference in a kid's survival or not. And it did for me when I was a kid, and I found it on my own. So now, I think we should be promoting the arts everywhere.
That's brilliant. What a great answer. And so pleased that you've got a bit of research back in that as well, which obviously is very important, isn't it, if we're trying to push forward with those sort of things. But I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think the educational system has quite a limited approach. And of course, there'll be cases where they'll might find it difficult to involve everything that could be possible out there to do, but it is quite limited. It does focus on those key things like the English, the maths, those key subjects, but often the other subjects are neglected. And I think what that does is that means that's actually neglecting certain types of people that would really shine by doing those arts. And you mentioned about expressing yourself, and that is what I've found has been a big part for me with songwriting. It's my way of expressing myself. I can put my thoughts and my feelings down into the music, both through the melody and very much through the lyrics as well, and really say what I want to say. And that's so important, isn't it? That everyone feels that they have an opportunity to say what they want to say. And just going back then, this is why people identify themselves with Tommy and Gina and, the characters of lyrics of songs, because they're like, that's me. I've been heard, as it were.
That's right. There's an old 70s artist, Harry Chapin, who's around here. And, he was more of like a folk pop singer, but he was a storyteller, and he created stories and characters and things that people could relate to. One of the programs I have at my my agency is a curriculum called Rock Your Heart Out. And it's laced in the arts, but it's not even just about songwriting and playing music and building shows, though that's a piece of it. It's also aligned with music history. Right. So it's, when we look at the whole scope of music, right, the question that I always like to pose is, did music influence that chapter in society, or did that chapter in society influence music? Big example is like when you look at the 60s and you look at the Beatles, right? And you look at Woodstock, right? What was going on in the world, did that influence what was being said, or it was what being said influenced like what was going on? And I would love to dive a little bit into with you, James. I don't know who's interviewing who here now, right? Inner anthem and empowerment songs, I don't think was intended for this, but is coming. The way the universe works is that coming at a time where we all need every single song on that album. What's happening in the world now, between, COVID and, the other health challenges that I'm having and the racial tensions in the world and systemic issues and the education system falling apart. We need empowerment more than ever. So like your 3 albums is almost an answer to that, even though that wasn't your intention, right?
No, not at all. But yeah, that's it. And of course, we're not saying by you saying that, we're not saying that that's the answer and all world problems are solved. No, of course, but it's a tool that can be used because a lot of people are, like you say, they're in need of some empowerment. And the key thing that I want to say is it's not just about trying to feel positive all the time, because we never will. It's about the fact that we do have challenges, but it's about how we respond to that. It's about recognizing that we can be resilient, we can overcome our fears and our doubts and our limitations and the stuff that life throws at us. And I really know that life has thrown you a lot of challenges, but it's through your personal development and through music that you've been able to get through that. And yeah, that is really what I wanted to get across. So I'm so grateful that you've sort of said that, because I really do genuinely believe that it can and will help people. I was speaking, someone sent me an email the other day who said she had some friends round to her house and one of their relatives had recently committed suicide, and they played them a song from the album, and it said it just, I can't remember exactly the phrasing they used, but it just sort of spoke to them. It was just perfect for that moment and really got them to think through things. And that was lovely. What a lovely email to actually receive, because, certainly the album wasn't geared towards that specifically, but I think that there's so many ways that music and the albums can help. So, yeah.
Isn't that the beauty of music? Like, as a songwriter, that must have been like a really like great moment for you to know that your song and your music connected. Being in this band for 21 years, the name of the band is Outlet. We've had friends who have been, solid followers of the band, and the band has an amazing history, and we've done some pretty big shows, especially like around 9/11 and when that tragedy happened. We've had friends who have lost other people. We've lost friends, and they'll come to a show for healing, because they feel that the energy of the show, or they feel the energy of the music. And that's not why that was never our intention really, behind, playing a song or being out, but it's such an amazing byproduct to know that you can inspire and impact people that way. That's what I love about music. Music to me is literally the language of the soul. I stole that quote. It's not from me, but I love it. Like, it's definitely the language of the soul.
That's beautiful. And I will just mention then, because I think this is quite appropriate. When I was thinking of names for my business, I was playing around with different names and we came up with Inner Anthem. And Anthem, the word anthem, as you know, is generally a powerful song. It's a song that brings people together or brings nations together. So obviously got that link to music. The inner part is sort of saying that we've all got this anthem inside us. Again, that bit doesn't mean you have to be into music or have to be a songwriter or anything like that. But, we've all got this gift inside us. So my definition of inner anthem is your soul's unique expression. It's how you express yourself, your soul, because your soul, how is different to mine and different to everybody else's. We are all unique, and it's how we like to express ourselves. We've all got an anthem inside us that we just want to get out into the world. So, and obviously music is a way that a lot of people do that, which is, absolutely incredible. So what I want to do, let's talk a little bit, because you played on 2 songs from the album, which were Hero's Journey and My Time. And they're hopefully good songs for you, because they're sort of rocking songs.
Two favorite songs on the album.
And there's a wide range of genres on the album. But these were, I like my rock music. I like obviously my Bon Jovi and all that. And these were perfect for that. And how did you, obviously you enjoy the music, you enjoy rocking out to that, but let's just talk about the sort of lyrics to those songs. Did you feel connected to those songs in terms of the lyrics as well?
100%. And I actually been holding off this story because I was wondering if you were going to ask me this question. So in My Time, so this is a very true story. So, I don't want to botch the lyrics, but it's like, I'm keeping the faith. And then 2 lines later, it's I'm seizing the day. Mm-hmm. Those 2 sayings before I even met you, James, were 2 sayings that I lived by, like keep the faith and seize the day, So the first time I heard the rough track, I was like, okay, universe, like this is meant to be. And, recording that song was transformative, so I really loved that. It spoke to me.
Wow.
And there's a lot of songs on your albums, My Soul, like you got some great songs. They're all great, but there's some songs on there that just like truly speak volumes, like really powerful stuff, all different genres, like you were saying.
Thank you. That's amazing. And you're not the only contributor to say that, where their song, it was like, you've written that for me. And obviously I wasn't writing specifically for you or specifically for anybody, but it's amazing how, again, they've latched onto that. And that's incredible, isn't it? That's got to be a universe thing that's actually happened. You made reference to My Soul there. My Soul, I sort of say, is kind of like the first empowerment song that I wrote, because My Soul was written quite a while ago. It was probably the first song that I wrote out of the songs on the albums, but it wasn't written for the album because I hadn't had the idea of the album then,
Right.
Basically, it's a story of my life. I was literally laying down my soul saying, I've tried this before, I've tried that, I was unhappy with that. The lyrics are a little bit better than this, by the way, but, just give it an overall summary there. I can never remember my own lyrics. So, but now I've found myself, this is my soul. And what that was me discovering myself. That was me saying, okay, I can be a songwriter. I can go out and do this. That it was a real discovery sort of process that I found. So, I wrote that. I don't know if that song in particular, but I know some songs have been, and the whole empowerment theme was influenced again by other music. Someone like Robbie Williams, I Love My Life. What a great message that is.
Right.
And I know I sort of thought, okay, well, there's that song. He loves his life. That's great. Why can't I write sort of songs like that? So there's certain songs that sort of prompted me to really, take hold of this empowerment songwriting sort of thing. So I'm so pleased that those songs sort of spoke to you, and you could really get into them, because that really makes a difference, doesn't it? When you can really relate to the music, and even if you're a drummer, I mean, very much if you're something like a vocalist, but even if you're a drummer, I think you just get into it so much more if you believe in the song, don't you? Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. I think it might have been Bon Jovi who said this, ironically. The drummer is the guy that hangs out with the real musicians, right? Being the drummer and backing up and adding that beat and that rhythm is an awesome place to be. But I'm a fan, I'm a music fan. So 100%, like, absorbing that energy and that sound and those messages, it's almost like that's your Tommy and Gina, right? Like, you wrote the song for you, right? But it speaks to so many other people, right? That's when you know you have a gift and a talent, right? So that's awesome.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I want to move on a little bit in terms of, because, well, let's just backtrack slightly. You said that music probably saved your life. Do you have any more stories to share? Because I know you've got an amazing book as well. And I'm just going to say at the time of recording, I haven't yet read it, but I certainly plan to, because I know that you have got an amazing story or stories to your life. And I just know that book is going to be really inspirational, empowering. And again, I know that book will help people without a doubt. That will help people. And I know you're also raising money for charity and things like that. But, have you got any other real examples, maybe when your life has been low, how music has really sort of pulled you through, or have you sort of, covered quite a bit?
I've covered a lot, and that's a great question, James. It's a loaded question. The title of my book is Beautiful Souls, right? The way I wrote the book, first of all, it's super long. So I think that scares some people. It's as long as War and Peace. But I like to believe that it's really powerful. If people are willing to go on this journey with me, I think it's inspirational, and it brings up a lot of issues that are going on in the world, through my lens and some experiences that I had in my life. I have my Tommy and Gina characters in there that I created to share the story. So it's a reality fiction. But one of the things, and this is more in line to the question you asked, that is throughout the whole book, is that soundtrack to my life. Every chapter starts with a quote from an artist, from a musical artist that anchored me. Like music, certain songs and certain lyrics will anchor me to a story or experience, I had in my life. And that's been, since I was a child. I went through a lot of issues as a child. I was very, very quiet. I was very, very confused. And the only thing that I felt that I had a common language with was music. And it was really interesting because one of the things that popped out of me early, I'm trying to get away from the rock stories because I don't want to just stereotype me, but I tell this story in the book, probably also better than I'm going to tell it here, but I remember the first time I discovered Motley Crue. Motley Crue was like the when Eminem came out, and parents were like, no, devil worshiping, don't listen to it. And this is bad. And your life is going to be horrible, and it's going to stunt your growth, and you'll get nowhere in life, And I remember being on the handball courts, and I went to my friend's house, and he had a poster up of Shout at the Devil, which was like everyone, and they had this big pentagram, and everyone was like, oh my God, they're devil worshipers. And then I started looking at the lyrics, and my friend was sharing me the story, and I realized that that's not what the song was about, right? The song was about youth empowerment. Like if you stare at those lyrics, it was about, rise up and shout at all these negative things. They were using the devil as a metaphor. The youth are the future, the youth are the power. And that spoke to me, and it made me realize society's shooting down this band, and we're stereotyping, So here I am as a young teenager going, there's something wrong with this world, right? I wasn't articulate. I don't know if I'm articulate yet, but I wasn't as articulate as I am now. But I was saying something's broken because it was really clear to me that there was a positive message in the album, and not something that shoots people down. Yet everybody was shooting them down, and I started getting really curious about what makes people tick. What makes people say what they want to say? Why? And then it was like, why are we stereotyping people? Why are we fighting? And this ended up branching off into who I became in my career. And I could say that was really mostly because of music.
Wow, that's amazing. And what I got from that was the fact that Awareness is key, isn't it? You know, sometimes we can look at a situation. So they were looking at Motley Crue, they were looking at the title of the song, and they were making certain assumptions. But when you actually looked into it and became aware, in actual fact, it was the total opposite. So I love that, you know, because we all, you know, we all make assumptions, don't we? We have perceptions of people, we judge things, but sometimes we just need to be open to really learning and seeing an alternative point of view. And obviously that's what you did because you were curious going into it. So that's a gem there, isn't it, really?
Yeah, 100%. And and I remember, James, there was a transitional point in my life that was occurring around 9/11, and I also share this story in the book. You know, my Aunt Barbara was a first responder, and she ended up losing her life, and she was the one adult in my life that had come in at a certain point that was instilling values in me and was instilling like this idea of empowerment, right? But I was still very scared. I was still very timid as a young, kid. My hair was twice as long and twice as greasy. And I was like, I had all these great ideas, but I didn't know like if anybody would really like listen to them. I had the idea for Windows of Opportunity. I had the idea, for the Eisenberg Leadership Academy, but I wasn't going after it. And then 9/11 took her life. And in losing her life, I almost lost myself. It was the most tremendous pain I ever went through. And the music that came out of people's reaction to 9/11, tons and tons of songs of hope and rebuilding and restructuring and bouncing back and across every genre. Like music ended up unifying us and lifting us, through that period of time. At least for me, like I hooked on to all those songs to carry me. And then I built an agency. So like, even though we lost 3,100 plus, all the first responders, that day, my agency is up to 300,000 people. And it doesn't take away from the lives that were lost, but it shows that through challenges and difficult times, we can rebuild and make and create beautiful things on the planet. And we need to do that now more than ever. Education system, through music, through the arts, our whole planet, politically, racially, systemically, we need a shift more than ever, and we have to come together.
That's amazing. And you are one of the people that has done that. So you had a reason to do it then, yeah? Because of 9/11, your aunt, all those things, you had a reason why you wanted to make it happen, and you had to make it happen. Am I right in sort of saying that?
Oh, 100%. Even the experiences that I had in education when I was young, I remember my best friend Stacy was killed when I was 16. Her and a bunch of friends were hanging out by the train tracks, and one kid went on the train tracks, and he got his foot stuck, and she jumped onto the train tracks and was trying to pull him out, and they both got instantly killed when the train couldn't stop. Well, a day later, the media twisted it. It was my first experience of media twisting a story and saying that it was all because of drugs and alcohol, which was not the case at all. And then I went to the school principal and I said, I want to do a memorial. And the principal said, absolutely not. We don't promote drugs and alcohol. So like I started seeing like no support and systems breaking down ever since I was a child. And I was like, this doesn't feel right, but I know I'm going through these experiences for a reason. So between that and being homeless and then 9/11, all of these stories that are in the book started piling up on each other. And it led me to be like, this is who I'm about. It shaped my values. It shaped what I stand for, and how I want to show up in the world. And now I'm doing great things. I have we can talk more. Like I'm doing collaborations, global collaborations about, I have this amazing organization that I'm on the board for in Toronto, called the Passion Center. And our agencies are working together to really study passion and how it drives people forward and how to create more inner inner anthems in people and more empowerment. So all of that came from all those experiences for sure.
That's amazing. The fact is, what I'm hearing from this is that there's been a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. And of course, that is in everybody's life, maybe in different magnitudes. But when that happens, you have an option. You can go in this direction, or you can go in that direction. You can go towards the negativity and just get engulfed in it, or you can use it to be the fuel that drives you forward so that you can create something positive. And often what we create is something that helps other people who might be experiencing similar challenges to what we've experienced, isn't it? And that, again, is why I've written the album. I've written the album because I felt pain, because I didn't feel I was good enough. I was frustrated that I wasn't using my gifts. So I started doing that through the music, and I want to help and inspire other people to do that as well, because otherwise, it's my biggest fear to be on my deathbed with regrets. And I know that it happens to so many people. So if this album and this music can just change a few people's opinions and, give them what they need to actually go and do what they want in the world and believe that they are good enough, then brilliant. That is what it's there for. And I'm so glad that you're part of it, obviously, Hal.
Right. I don't think you're going to have any regrets, my friend. And I love that you brought that up, because what really excites me and what really interests me is what happens at that pivotal point when people can go right or left, and that's really comes down to their biological makeup and their experiences and how they interpret. That's why I love this whole idea that we're studying the science of passion with this organization in Toronto, because really that pivotal point is key. And so many people get stuck, right? You've got this energy and this drive to make a difference. And that's how you created the album. So many people have the idea, but don't go. Like, I had the idea to write the book. I could have chose no, but I decided I needed to push something out into the world, just like you did with the album, right? What about, there's another statistic, 75% of workers in North America are disengaged, right? Not happy about their lives. They're stuck. 75%. That's also educators. 75% of our educators are disengaged and disempowered, right? Those are the people that are supposedly inspiring this next generation, right? Only 25% of them are actually really into their job. Those numbers scare me. So I think that pivotal point that you mentioned is so important, is how do we get to that 75% and how do we shift that energy for them so that they can create their dreams and put it out into the world?
That's so amazing. Yeah, great point. A scary point as well, isn't it, that you make there? So absolutely incredible. Well, you are obviously helping people with this. You are certainly inspired and empowered. So what's next for you? You've done so much, but, over the next year, over the next couple of years, I'm interested in sort of, where you're going, where you're taking windows of opportunity, just, very quickly. And also, are you on the lookout for certain types of people to connect with or certain organizations? What help and support do you need as well?
100%. Great question, James. Thanks for asking that. So windows of opportunity, like I mentioned earlier, was born out of 9/11, and the loss of my aunt. And I've been running that nonprofit agency for 20 years, and it's shifted and evolved, and I've learned so many things from the mistakes I made in that agency, plus the successes that I've had, and I can't bark at 300,000 people, right? 300,000 people, on almost no budget is something that I'm super, super proud of. Going through that process, and I've created tons of curriculums and tons of empowerment programs. My dream shifted, or I should say really, really evolved. And originally I was really passionate about giving youth a voice, and I still am. But now I'm really, really passionate about education reform. Where I'm going is I'm looking at systemically what's happening in the world. And here's the truth, James. Like, when I look at, when we talk about the Middle Ages, right? I'm going way back, right? A little bit before my time. The Catholic Church was the center of society. So from there, the Catholic Church inspired politics, and it inspired the community, and there were family values, and you needed support. You went to the Catholic Church, right? And obviously through the centuries and everything, that all dissipated. Well, now when I look at education and I look at schools, and I'm like, schools should be what the Catholic Church used to be. We're responsible for the springboard into all of these other systems that are broken. It starts with how we're educating our youth. We should be creating 21st century thinkers to face 21st century problems that we didn't know were going to exist, like COVID, like what we're dealing with globally now. Nobody was prepared. We can point fingers and say, this country did this and this country did that. Nobody was prepared. And I could probably link that all the way back to their second and third grade teacher, right? It's like, so how can we shift that, right? How can we look at education and recreate the value system within education and build the framework that's going to help create a better tomorrow? It's going to happen in education. So that I'm getting really passionate about that message, and Windows of Opportunity has now kind of like, so that's like my nonprofit arm. The education reform arm is now the Eisenberg Leadership Academy, which is a fairly new development of mine. And it's going to be all around. I have an amazing team that has created this amazing framework that's really, really powerful, that we have tested out. We have almost 8 years of successful data that says that the programs that we've created and the framework we created is really, really successful. Through those ventures, I met Kira Day at the Passion Center, and now we're doing these research studies because we want to inspire education in schools across the globe. And I think what we've created is it's going to be powerful. And I think if we can be really, where my passion is, to answer your question, over the next 5 years, is I want to create and place these systems all over the place and create these 21st century thinkers so that we can shift our planet, right? Because this is the one planet we have, and the rate we're going, everything's unraveling really, really fast. Things are horrible in the education system right now based on COVID. And it's bringing to light what was always there. With the murder of George Floyd, systemic racism has been there for generations. All that pain, rightfully so, came to the surface. We have to start talking about these things, and we have to start looking at them, and we have to come together and search for the answers so that we can create a better planet. And it starts in education. So that's where I see anybody who wants to have those conversations, who wants to sit at the table and be instrumental in moving this planet forward, is who I want to be speaking to.
That's amazing. And that's why I hang out with people like you, Hal, because you've got that vision, you're an action taker and doing great stuff in the world. So that's brilliant. How can people get hold of you then if they do want to connect with you, and where can they buy your book?
The book is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's called Beautiful Souls.
Is that worldwide, Hal?
It's worldwide.
Yeah.
It's worldwide. I don't know if I sold any worldwide yet, but I mean, I've sold a few in the US. The book's only been out a couple of weeks now. I think I'm up to 10 copies. No, I don't know how many I sold. So you can search my name, Hal S. Eisenberg, on Amazon. It takes you to my author page. I have 2 additional books that are in the works. It will not be as long as Beautiful Souls. And they'll be more around like the professional work that I'm doing with social emotional learning and holistic education. So I'm writing some stuff around there. So I'm really excited about that. I'm on Facebook also, facebook.com/wooink. Instagram, Hal_Eisenberg88. I also have Windows of Opportunity 88. There's a lot of 88s around me because I love the infinity sign of never breaking, never giving up. I love the metaphor of that. So you'll see a lot of things with Windows of Opportunity and my name with like 88s and infinity signs all over the place. So yeah, or you can email me at hal@wooinc.org. Yeah.
It's brilliant. And I'll put those in the show notes as well. So that is absolutely brilliant. It has been great to speak to you. Just one final question. Mm-hmm. Is there a question that you wished I had asked you during this interview?
No, James, you're amazing. Is there a question I wish? I think we covered everything, my friend. Like, I'm really... No, this has been a great interview. I'm super passionate about everything that we discussed, and I think you covered it all.
Brilliant. Well, I'll tell you what then, in one sentence, here's another challenge for you. In one sentence, give one piece of advice to the youth of today.
Oh, that's easy. No matter what, and I mean no matter what, always, always, always keep the faith. Period.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it. It has been an absolute pleasure and an honor, Hal. Thank you ever so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. It's been a great interview, and thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me, and keep up the great work, and everybody go buy that album, Empowerment Songs.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching. 3 quick things to do now. 1, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. 2, go to the inneranthem.com website and access your free video series, the 3-minute music life hack, so you can find out how to use music to enhance your life. And thirdly, get access, get your own copy of the Empowerment Songs albums at the inneranthem.com website.